Hey there, Fire Flames. This is your Week 6 recap with Max at Hardy Lifer. Give me 1 second here. Okay, so I'm having a little trouble with the lighting here, trying to show my TV and myself, so I guess I'm just going to be kind of in the shadow a little bit. That's okay with me. So, your Week 6 recap. So this week I'm supposed to give some talks at the University of Texas in Austin, and I haven't made either of them, and so I made this instead to kind of procrastinate those. So let's get into it. All right, so week 6. All right, so the first game we've got here is me and Jacob. Is this working? There we go. So it's the Jacksonville Faggots versus Lucky China. Unfortunately for Jacob, I had a really awesome week this week. All my players scored more than 10 points, with the exception of my tight end, Owen Daniels. So Ben Tate is back. Brandon Oliver is here to stay. My Lions defense scored a nice 20 points. And, Jacob had a good game too. Scored 104.1 points. But really, Vincent Jackson and Golden Tate kind of playing below their level. So Jacob lost this one. Let's see. Next up, we have the Carisas versus somebody. Tolzin. I still don't understand what that means. So yeah, Eli got crushed by Nile, who had 121 points. So, Eli's team really sucks. We all knew this. He doesn't have a QB. Both of his running backs just fucking blew it this week. And Giovanni, whatever, had a really nice game with this overtime. Joique Bell had a nice game with Reggie Bush out, so Nile was able to pull off this win pretty easily. Next up, we had Henry's team, the Agra Bad Boys, versus, not Kelly's team, Adam's team, versus Father Time. So Adam's team is again really bad. Even though Henry played the Chargers D with 0 points and Brian Quick and Flex with only 1 point, the rest of his team played pretty well, and he was able to crush Adam 96-81. So Henry is going to be propelled to first place this week, and I forget where Adam is. I didn't write that down. Okay, so moving on. Next up, we have the Flaming Unicorns versus the Content Kings. So this is Kelly's team versus Julian's team. And Kelly's team had been playing really well, but these last couple weeks really have fallen from grace. Pretty much the only good member on her team is Arian Foster, which really carried her this week, but still only got 70 points. Julian is now the high-scoring leader for this year's league with 138 points. He had a great game, especially from Cam Newton in the overtime, and of course T.Y. Hilton on Thursday night. So, congratulations, Julian. Next up we have Carsko versus Coy. So I know everyone was really looking forward to this matchup. And it was a really close game. It was a good matchup. It was Carsko's 101 to Coy's 98. Both teams played pretty well. Unfortunately for Coy, Larry O'Donnell once again dropped the ball, and that could have been, a win for Coy if he had played a different tight end, maybe. Okay, moving on. We've got Sarah's team versus the Insidious Rex, Chris's team. So this was the last matchup of the week, and to be really honest, both these teams are really embarrassing. I don't think either of them should get a win this week, but unfortunately that's not how it works. So Chris gets the most despicable win in history. Yeah, nothing really else to say other than that because of this match, Chris's performance this week, he is going to get
Cannot play with him. Cannot win with him. Cannot coach with him. Can't do it.
You play to win. You play to win the game.
I want winning.
Playoffs? You don't play it, just play.
She's not a Christian!
That's the great thing about sports.
And that was a disgraceful
Playoffs.
On September the 11th, enemies of freedom committed an act of war against our country.
Oppa Gangnam Style.
Okay, so Chris had they both had bad performances, but Chris has been bragging about his team and, the whole first couple weeks here. Chris, your team sucks ass now. You could have started Ray Rice and Denny Woodhead and had a higher score. What else? Oh, so you've been trying to trade with your bona fide starters, in quotes, to a bunch of different people in the league, in every permutation imaginable, and it's really embarrassing for you now how much they suck. I actually looked it up. To me alone, I've declined 17 trades from Chris, all bullshit. Yeah, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at some actual data here. So this is part of my new pilot project. I'm going to be calling Monday Night Math with Max at Hardy Lifer, which will be debuting now, but normally on Monday nights. So this is just a little sample. So this is Insidious Rex's projections for next week based on their previous week's scores. So all I did is just fit a quadratic here. Pretty stupid, but if you look at this and you follow the trends here, a lot of these players are going to continue giving negative points, which leads me to believe that Chris's next matchup, he's only going to score around 35 points. So Chris, you get shame of the week for having such a shitty team, and I hope it continues to play poorly for you. Okay? Alright, so moving on to next week, week 7. So continuing with the little math theme. So this is all the teams' scores over the past 6 weeks, and I'll post this on the group so you guys can take a closer look. But just to give you an idea of the trends here and who's really struggling and who's been playing decent. I'm not going to get into this, but separately I'm going to look at the matchups. So first we've got me versus Eli's team next week. And if I fit just a linear fit and a quadratic fit, projecting to next week, we see that I'm projected to possibly score up to, 175 points, which is pretty nuts, but numbers don't lie. So I'm projected to win over Eli pretty easily. Should be an easy match for me. We've got Julian versus Jacob's team, Lucky China. Let's see. Julian also has been on the upswing lately, so he's projected to have another high-scoring game and beat Jacob. We've got Niall versus Sarah. Sarah, I'm sorry, you gotta step it up, girl. So I'm going to be projecting Niall to win that one. We have Kelly's team versus Adam's team. Kelly started off very strong, and you can see that in her team here in this dark maroony color. So I have her continuing to drop. Hopefully she turns it around, but we'll see. We've got Henry versus Coy. This could almost go either way, but I've got Henry to pick it back up and take another win. And lastly, we have Chris versus Karsko. And as you saw from his players, Chris is going to score a really shitty game. So I have Karsko to win for this next week. Alright, well, that about does it. This was Max at Hardy Lifer with the Week 6 recap. Assistant to the co-commissioner and owner of the Jacksonville Faggots. Signing out.